please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, we welcome all of you to the Sustainable Mountain Development Summit 6. We shall now begin our program with an opening song by the Mizoram Cardinal Choir.
Storm is raging, Lord. The boat I sail is small and also frail. The wind is blowing, Lord. I cannot hold the course against the gale. The lightning strikes on every side. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Your hand alone can hold the tide. Lord, rescue me. I am sinking low. The boat is taking water going down. Hard the waters, Lord. I long to plant my feet on solid ground. Oh Lord of earth and sky and sea, your hand is reaching out to me. I know that you have heard my plea, my hope is sure. I am sinking low. The boat is taking water going down. Hard the waters, Lord. I long to plant my feet on solid ground. Oh Lord of earth and sky and sea, your hand is reaching out to me. I know that you have heard my plea, my hope is sure. Oh Lord of earth and sky and sea,
Thank you, Professor Leluntlonga. We now call upon Dr. Lelbiak Moyanyente, convener SMDS 6 and president of the Mizoram Sustainable Development Foundation, to deliver his welcome address and give a summit outline.
Respected Pu Laltan Hola, Honorable Chief Minister of Mizoram, Honorable Member of Parliament, Sri P.D. Rai, respected Alim Temsi Jamir, President of IMI, other dignitaries on the dais, and delegates from across the country, and my dear friends. At the outset, I'd like to extend a very warm and hearty welcome to all of you on the occasion of the 6th edition of the Sustainable Mountain Development Summit. On behalf of Integrated Mountain Initiatives, IMI, and Mizoram Development Foundation, I take this opportunity to extend my heartfelt gratitude for your esteemed presence at this summit. And I'm very happy that the issues of climate change and sustainable development are being discussed in Mizoram, where, as you can see, the mountains are still green and the rivers more pure and inviting than the packaged drinking waters, where you still get to feel the refreshing breeze and experience of fresh air, which is free from pollution, and where you can still gaze at the stars at night without the problems of pollution. And coming to the outline of the summit, tomorrow we'll be having our technical sessions. In the forenoon, we'll start off with a plenary on climate change, where the keynote will be addressed by Professor Navroz Dubas, Senior Fellow of Center for Policy Research. Thereafter, we're going to have the breakout sessions, where the sub-themes will be research and policy gaps on climate change, state action plans on climate change, and local adaptation stories. Afternoon session will be on sustainable mountain cities, where the keynote will be delivered by our professor, Anne Finstra. He is a famous Dutch architect, and I'm really proud this afternoon, especially being an architect myself, to have an architect as a keynote speaker coming all the way to Mizoram. And the breakout sessions will dwell upon the infrastructure development of sustainable mountain cities, waste and water management, and the very hot topic of the day, disaster risk reduction and management. In these sessions, together we can brainstorm, deliberate, discuss and build consensus, not only on effective solution, but also to work on implementing the proposals in our respected areas and states. Sharing of development perspective, learning from each other's experiences, exploring common issues of concerns, and hopefully we'll all have a lot to take away from the summit. And tomorrow evening we're going to have a very special program. The Honorable Minister in charge of Northeast, Donor Minister, Dr. Jitendra Singh, is going to come here. We'll have an unscheduled program, 1 hour in this very hall, followed by the cultural program. And on the third day, we're going to have some very special occasions. The first is Legislators Meet, which is being conveyed by our Honorable MP, Sri P.D. Rai. That will be chaired by the Speaker of Mizoram Assembly, Pu Hipea. And a keynote address will be delivered by Mandira Kala. And also, we're going to have a policy dialogue wherein various policy makers from across these 12 states will gather under the chairmanship of our Chief Secretary, Pu Lalmal Soma, co-chaired by our President, Mr. Alim Temsi Jamir. And in this session, the keynote will be delivered by Dr. Amitabh Prasad, Additional Secretary, Government of India, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. And for the first time, we're going to have a discussion on draft mountain policy of the country. And we're going to have another session on mountain partnership on sustainable development. And in the afternoon, there is going to be a summarization sessions of all the themes which have been going through. And just before the start of this summit, we had a 3-day youth summit at the youth hostel in Luang Muar. We had 64 youths from 11 states across the country, which was facilitated by Lead India. And we are very grateful to Lead India for taking such a step, and which was also, the guiding star was one of our annual councillor, Mr. Amba Jamir. Having said that, I urge all delegates to wholeheartedly participate in this meet to ensure that the objective of this summit being the knowledge sharing platform is met, and we as mountain people should take upon ourselves the honors to deliver optimum solutions to whatever tool is available in our hand. It is said that if you want to walk far, if you want to walk fast, walk alone. But if you want to walk far, walk together. We, the mountain people of the country, want to walk far and achieve great things. And for this, we have to work unitedly and achieve our dreams together and make the people of this country proud of our mountains. Once again, a hearty welcome to all of you and wishing you all the best for the days to come. Thank you very much.
May I now call upon Shri L.M. Temshi Jamir, IAS retired, who is also the President of IMI and the former Chief Secretary of Nagaland, to give his opening remarks and tell us about the journey of IMI.
Most respected Chief Minister of Mizoram, the chief guest for the evening, our respected MP, Mr. P.D. Rai from Sikkim, Mr. Lalbiak, the convener of the SMDS 6 and the president of the Mizoram Sustainable Development Foundation, the resource persons, dignitaries of the dais, and the participants, the dignitaries who have come from far and wide. Crowd may not be so much, but I know we have met participants right from Kashmir down to Tripura, and I welcome all of you on behalf of the Mountain Summit, and I take this pleasure of giving some remarks to introduce the IMI to the people who are present here today. The IMI starts from the concept of mountain. And when we start thinking of the mountain, particularly, I don't know, something wrong with the but when we start thinking of the mountain, we look at it as beautiful mountains, worth visiting, having a holiday or those kind of things, but we don't think in terms of the actual values that the mountain has. And when we look at the Himalayas in particular, we realize that the Himalayas have acted towards cooling of the planet Earth itself. It is called the third pole. Apart from that, it is the freshwater tower of India. And from the Himalayas spring forth the Indus, the Ganges, the Brahmaputra, onwards into Myanmar, the Chinwin and the Irrawaddy, and then in Indochina, Mekong, and up in China, the Yangtze and the Huanghe, they all have their sources in the Tibet Plateau, which is adjacent to the Himalayas. And on these rivers, the civilization of the East and the Far East have grown. That is how important the mountains are. Over and above this, if India is today one of the most fertile countries in the world, that is because of the monsoon, which has attracted centuries of immigration into the country. And the monsoon, the main reason is the Himalayas. And above all occupying 16% of the land mass, with 65% of the forest cover of the country, and having only 4% of the population, they give a number of ecosystem services to the country in terms of water security, clean energy, hydropower, biodiversity, carbon sink. It's a recreational source, it's timber source, and also for all food security. These are the things which the Himalayas ensure for the people. However, the people living on the Himalayas face challenges. We are at the international borders. We have forest cover which are depleting. We are most affected by disasters ranging from massive earthquakes to rainfall and landslides and even floods in the mountains. We have poor road connectivity, we have a weak economy, we have very unstable connectivity in terms of telecom, and we have got very high cost of living. Accordingly, Mr. B.K. Chakravarti, the former member of the Planning Commission, in his report had given certain development index where the mountain states have been given the highest rating regarding the development disability index. And therefore, few people have got together and they have decided to think about the mountains. And it was decided that instead of making it into a government organization, it would be made into an NGO, a non-government, because that way it would attract the most number of people. And the IMI was formed with a vision of making the people of India proud of the mountains. And it is a movement where diverse stakeholders work on issues of mountains and enable people and institutions to realize the potential by integrating knowledge and experience of multiple stakeholders. We integrate, we are an inclusive body, collaborative, voluntary, passionate, democratic, and an open organization. We have a governing council at the top, followed by a secretariat. We have state chapters, like the MSDF. We have institutional members incorporated, and we have individual members, and also funding and domain partners. Our main approach is to have a knowledge and experience integration. Basic science and applied social science and research is integrated with policy and practice partners through the IMI institution. And the approach is to assimilate knowledge and experiences generated from practice in field, scientific and social research, and policymakers' perspective for integrated action on issues that are relevant in the Indian Himalayas region to have a positive impact on the lives of the people in the states. It aims to collate international and national policies and legislations and adapt them to suit the needs of the mountains. And towards this, we have several events like the Sustainable Mountain Development Summit, one of which, the 6th one, is to be held in Aizawl. We have the MOMS, the Meet of the Mountain States, which is also held in Delhi, where the mountain states get together for another discussions. Then we have projects, workshops, and policy advocacy, where we so far have had substantial success in terms of touching up to the Niti Aayog, the then Planning Commission, and also the MOEF, which helps us, and also they have been inspired to draw out the mountain policy, which is be a subject matter for discussion here on the 22nd. We have 8 state chapters, 53 members, 13 institutional members, and 19 national and regional workshops have been held. The IMI is a member of the working group on skill development and entrepreneurship in the mountain region, that is under Niti Aayog, and then a project under National Mission on Himalayan Studies on Understanding Mountain People's Approach and Practices to Combat Climate Change in the Himalayan region is being undertaken by the IMI. Then the study on strengthening science, policy and practice platform for climate change and adaptation in the Indian Himalayan region is undertaken by us. Then recently there's a draft in the process of legislation to mainstream sustainable development goals, perhaps the first of such efforts to actually legislate on the development goals of the UNDP through consultative stakeholders and multi-stakeholder workshop, including legislators and policymakers, are underway in Sikkim, and we hope that this, once they have passed the legislation, this would have multiplier effects in the other states. and we have collaborated to produce a report highlighting the state of agriculture and allied sectors, including value chains across the Indian Himalayan region. We look forward to strengthening capacities in the mountains, establishing more state chapters, networking with research institutions, building youth forums, choosing the critical domains of DRR, CC, which forms a major portion of our focus. We have knowledge and experience enabling actions like the SMDS, which is being held, knowledge sharing platforms, these SDG report cards and projects, and we have communication and advocacy actions, which includes meet of the mountain states, legislators meet, policy dialogue, state of mountain report, mountain bulletin, and research policy briefs, etc. We have numerous partners. I wish we could have had the projection. We have Ministry of Donor, the NEC, the Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change. All the states come forward to help us, which includes the state of Sikkim, Nagaland, and Uttarakhand. Slowly the Himachal is coming in. Then we have the Jibupan Institute of Himalayan Studies as a partner. We have the Ladakh Autonomous Council as a partner. We have the Himachal Pradesh state as a partner. We have the Science and Technology Center of the Uttarakhand as a partner. Center for Himalayan Environment Association, CHIA, as a partner. We have the WWF, World Wildlife Federation, the GEF, Geo Environment Facilities, the GIZ, the German Bank, the SDFA of Mizoram, of Arunachal, the SDFU of Uttarakhand, SDFN of Nagaland, the MSDF of Mizoram, ECOS, Ecotourism Society of Sikkim, TERI, Tata Institute, then the FAO, which is funding our projects, some of our projects, the EC Mode, the Tata Trust, above all the SDC, HCAP, and the UNDP and LEAD, and many others which are not listed. And with this, we proceed forward in all our activities. We thank our partners for the constant support that they give to us, and we are looking forward to their continued participation in our activities. This Sustainable Mountain Development Summit in particular is very important because we have thematic session on climate change, which is a regular continuing theme, but above all we have thing on the sustainable mountain cities. This year the rainfall has been excessive in Mizoram, has been affecting the rural areas, but even in the urban areas there's been a tremendous amount of landslide that we have seen with our own eyes, and therefore we have decided that sustainable mountain cities would be a major theme in this summit. And also we have learning sessions of systems thinking, landscape governance. We have the policymakers dialogue, which will be discussing the Indian mountain policy, which is under drafting by the Ministry of Environment and Forest. Then we have the legislators meet, and side by side we have the networking bazaar, the Indian Himalayan photography competition, and we have just completed the youth summit. So all these activities, ladies and gentlemen, are directed towards how the mountain people who are considered to be remote, distant, fragile, inaccessible, can be brought together to work for the betterment of ourselves and to develop certain goals so that we can also catch up with the rest of the world. And there I would call upon all present to continuously work and to contribute to making the IMI, the Integrated Mountain Initiative, into a working movement which will be success and successful in meeting the dreams and visions of the people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shri Alimtemshi Jamir, for your very enlightening speech. So we do apologize for the technical difficulties that we faced, which was beyond our control. Such are the challenges that we do face in the mountains here. So we hope that the audience was able to, I'm sure that the audience was able to understand everything that you wanted to express from your very lucid speech, sir.
Honorable Chief Minister Ulal Tanhola, and distinguished people who are in the dais, and people coming from outside. For those of you who come for the first time here in this university, eco-friendly university. And ladies and gentlemen, it's my proud privilege to stand before you in a very important occasion. On behalf of Mizoram University and on my personal behalf, I extend my warmest welcome to all of you who are here for the first time here in this iconic building of Mizoram University, our auditorium. And as a part of my speech, I think it would be nice if I give you a little introduction about this university. For those of you who come for the first time, you would like to know something about this university. This Mizoram University started functioning since 2001. And the area of this university is 970 acres, and we have one constituent college, which is Pachunga University College. The campus of that college is a little over 700 acres. So the university, as well as its constituent college, has enormous land for its development. Number of students, as on 1st March of this year, postgraduate, undergraduate, around 3,000. Research scholar, those who are pursuing PhD and MPhil courses, around 800. And MPhil, they are little less than the research scholars. Non-teaching staff are around 370. And the teaching staff, assistant professor, associate, professors and professors altogether, around 220. Around 50% of the teaching staff are coming from outside the state, outside of Mizoram. And regarding the students' population, around 16%, 16% of the students are from outside Mizoram. This university has 8 different schools of studies and 33 disciplines or different departments. And you would be surprised to know that this university has only 2 helipads. Only 2 helipads that can be used next time you come. A helicopter or this thing. Okay. And the campus, as I have already mentioned, is eco-friendly. The Department of Environmental Science developed a botanical garden of 7 hectares, comprising of greenhouses, fruit, and herbal garden. An air pollution monitoring device is installed here in this very campus. Solar street lighting is enjoyed here in the quarters and also around. And solar heating facilities are also available in the campus. Rainwater harvesting is done as and where possible. 18 numbers of RCC reservoirs for rainwater harvesting have been constructed, and also we have underground water storage, huge construction is there. And this university signed MOU with foreign universities and institutes for doing research together. Like we signed MOU with Minnesota University, USA, Guangdong University, Gangwon, Korea, Institute of Mountain Hazard and Environment, China Academy of Sciences, People's Republic of China, and also Bangor University, UK. The present status of this university is highlighted in this way. It received A grade from NAAC accreditation, A grade. And also, the government of Mizoram has done green audit of this university, and it was graded A. And in the overall higher institutions ranking done by NIRF, our position is 94th, and among the universities alone, our position is 58. We are proud to be in that position because this university is a young university, established only in 2001. And the motto of this university is, greater deeds remain. We have achieved quite considerably, but we feel that there are some more things to be achieved in future. That's why our motto is, greater deeds remain. And the recent achievements of this university, I'm proud to say that this young university has a global contribution also. So you would be surprised to know that the nuclear and hydrogen energy research group of this university from the Department of Physics developed a nuclear code called EPEN, wherein errors of existing code, that is PINO, developed by German scientists, was identified. The error was identified by Mizoram MZU group. And the error in mathematical interpretation by Massachusetts Institute of Technology, USA, was also detected, which was published in the International Journal of Nuclear Sciences and Engineering by American Nuclear Society on May this year, 2017. So we are proud to say that we have global contribution in that respect. And the Department of Zoology had also described new species of snakes and also mushrooms and fishes, and that also had been published in various international journals. Okay. So going back to the topic of the summit, sustainable development, as we all know, refers to long and lasting development, development that takes care not only the present generation, but also the future generation, making the world fit for future generation, making the world a better place to live, should be the objective of sustainable development. It is very appropriate to have Sustainable Mountain Development Summit here in Mizoram, which is called the Land of Enchanting Hills. The state capital, Aizawl, is also often referred to as City on a Hill. Sustainable development should address, according to me, the exact and specific needs of the state or the region or the country. Specific regional need had to be addressed. Making a single uniform policy, I repeat, making a single uniform policy for the whole country or for the whole region is not advisable for attaining sustainable development, as hilly region needs and plain area needs are different in many respects. Cost calculations and estimates should take into account the difference in the topography of the region, the climate, the rainfall, so on and so forth. The need of good roads, all-weather roads, adequate supply of power and energy cannot be overemphasized for sustainable development. Mizoram might have committed a mistake in the past in respect of bringing sustainable development, as almost village settlement in the past had been made in the upland, in the highland. Wherever possible, new settlement should be made in the low-lying areas, in the valley, where building infrastructure or supply of essentials of living are significantly easier. Because with the Mizos experience, our forefathers, because there are inter-village wars or sort of problems, like they used to build their residence in the hilltop, where it is very difficult to take up water and so many other essential commodities, because road construction is very costly and this thing. Okay. From now onward, if we can make our settlement in the low-lying areas and this thing, that would be much easier. Okay. To conclude my speech, it is timely and befitting to address climate change in this summit, as climate change and its attendant evils have been felt more than ever in the state of Mizoram and in the region. I hope this summit will bring out positive result in achieving more sustainable development, thereby reducing adverse effects of climate change in the country, in the region, and in the state. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. May I now invite Shri Ramesh Negi, IAS retired, former Chief Secretary of Arunachal Pradesh and Councillor-elect of IMI, to talk about his expectations from the summit.
Most respectable Chief Minister of Mizoram, Honorable Member of Parliament Shri P.D. Raiji, respected Vice Chancellor, President IMI, and fellow friends. When I speak to you about my expectations from this conference, from this summit, as was mentioned here, that climate change remains a continuous agenda, but with a theme, special theme of mountain cities here. In the deliberations which will take place, we shall be talking of analysis, innovations, structures, policy formulations, and also some experiments by the community, decentralized experiments which have taken place in this. The experts from the government, from the academia, and civil society, everyone will participate. I would like to highlight issues which have bearing on policy and also which relate to the control of resources by the community and to make the whole process, whatever we do with respect to climate change or towards sustainable cities, more inclusive and participating. Any process cannot be absolute, it has to be dynamic and it has to be responsive. Whether it is the question of mountain cities, we may have best of the solutions, technology solutions. We have seen the big cities are made internationally, within the country, very big things are being planned. But when you see actually a city functioning, I have an experience of, I can say, participating in city running in Delhi for almost 15 years. I worked there. The unfortunate part is that cities turn out to be, on one side, the symbols of technology excellence, management excellence, but at the same time, they turn out to be symbols of disparity also. And if a city has homeless people, city has marginalized population, city cannot manage its garbage. You have seen the situation within the country, city is not sustainable. As far as the hill cities are concerned, the mountain cities are concerned, towns are concerned, we have issues related to disaster. But since we can say we are in a process where much more is yet to happen, we do have chance to rectify and not to follow, not to replicate the mistakes which have happened in the bigger cities. So therefore, the city resource, whether it is land, whether it is water or land use, it has to be participative and inclusive. The water is a very big issue. There are competitive demands. Fortunately, in Northeast, we don't see so much of a problem of water, rather sometimes there can be problem because of excess of water. But water remains a big issue in the realm of availability to the different sections of society. I'll give you an example of the capital of India. There are families who get only 30 liters a day. Per capita availability is 30 liters a day, but in certain areas it is more than 450 liters. So when we plan, we talk of sustainability. Water is a limited resource. There has to be a scientific management, scientific supply side, and equitable supply side, that people get in equitable measure and also go for conservation. So therefore, I am sure in this conference we shall be debating, discussing a lot on that. Land resource and land planning, land use is very important. How we plan the public lands, how public lands could be put for the best use of the people, the importance of green areas, recreation areas, and play areas for children is very vital. We have seen cities grow, but somehow they have an imbalance. That is another area which I expect from the planners, academicians to look at. And on the side of participatory, inclusive development, when we talk, whatever formula or whatever plan or whatever policy initiative we bring, can those be replicated at local level, considering the local priorities, sensibilities, and be implemented by the local community with minimum intervention from outside. Unfortunately, when solutions are given, the solution givers are generally external agents. It's very rarely that the solution is local and the remedy is local. But ultimately, if we are going for sustainable development, if we are going for equitable development, the local solution and capability of replicating locally, those strategies will have to be devised. We should not always look outside for solutions, because those solutions will have its linked constraints and also hidden costs. In the end, I would say that the climate change issue, the hills, the mountains, the clean air, the clean sky, we have a responsibility to make it much better for the next generation, and it is only then that the objective and the motto for which we have collected, we can definitely achieve. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for highlighting your expectations of the summit for us. We now invite Shri P.D. Rai to share once again his expectations from the summit with us. Shri P.D. Rai is Lok Sabha Member of Parliament from the state of Sikkim. He is also an IMI councillor.
Good evening. Honorable Chief Minister Shri Lanthan Howlaji, it's always a great pleasure speaking in these events in front of the executive head of the state, and so therefore I think it is very important that we give him a comprehensive idea of what is to unfold in the 2 days hence. Professor Lianzilla, his address was very interesting because it gives us a sense of being in an ecologically sensitive zone of Mizoram. It is also a place of academic excellence. The Sikkim University back in Gangtok, I'm sure Professor Lianzilla already knows. They are members of our of the IMI, of the Integrated Mountain Initiative. And I request on behalf of the IMI that the Mizoram University also joins this fraternity. Shall we have a round of applause? Alam Temshiji, Ramesh Negiji, Lalbekji, all members of the IMI Council, and colleagues, friends who have come from near and far. You know, it's the 6th edition of the SMDS, Sustainable Mountain Development Summit. It's the 6th one. The first one being in Nainital, the second one in Gangtok, the third in Kohima, the fourth in Itanagar, the fifth in Leh Ladakh, and the 6th we are here. And when I'm asked to speak about expectations, I think I'll have to reflect on whether we had expectations in the other 5 summits and whether we achieved them. And to my mind, the very fact that we are able to draw so many people from such diverse backgrounds to this sustainable mountain development conversation, very deep conversation, I think it is just testimony to the fact that we are getting somewhere. And today, our President, Alan Tanshiji, at our AGM, our annual general meeting, which was held just before this, made a remark, which is you know, it is in many ways a milestone. He says, it suddenly feels, and I quote, he says, it suddenly feels as if we are actually having a very serious AGM. You know, and so, therefore, just the way the institution of the IMI has progressed over time is very, very remarkable. And I think we would like to thank all our partners, and there are so many of them, it will be difficult to name all of them. But we are engaged with government, we're engaged with state governments, we're engaged like this, we are engaged with state governments, we're engaged with all kinds of development agencies, the UN agencies, bilateral, multilateral, and so on and so forth, and government like the Niti Aayog. And so, therefore, this institution of IMI, perhaps, through the process of the SMDS and what our respected President has already remarked, of the huge amount of energy and investments that have gone here, is something which has brought us the kinds of fruits which we are now actually, it's already very, very visible. However, what I'd like to do is also talk about how people-centric is the way forward. And I think whether it is an institution like the IMI, or whether it is the great democracy that our country espouses, whether it is the kind of, the kind of way in which we all are elected to the position of whether member of parliament or a member of the legislative assembly, or a member of the panchayat, or a member of any community organization. It's just that the democratic spirit is what makes us all come together. And I think IMI, from all purposes, because we've just had our election, a new set of governing council members are in place. The way it was done is the way it ought to be done. And that is the spirit of democracy. Honorable Chief Minister, the thing that we would be having in this great university over the next 2 days is a deep conversation, like I said, on the issues which are plaguing our mountains. Today, I must say with a certain sense of sadness, that last night, several houses were swept away in Sikkim because of the huge amount of deluge of rain. Never before. We expect rain, we know heavy rainfall does occur, but the kind of damage and the kind of lives that are getting lost is something which is unreasonable. And therefore, I think it is with this sense of urgency that I request each and every member who's here, who have come from afar to be part of this process, to really do some real thinking on the issues of climate change. I think Lalbek ji has already outlined the process format, but I think even if you are not been called, or you must just get engaged, give your views, howsoever you think that it is not relevant. But let me tell you that every view, every question, every comment is valuable as far as we are concerned. And finally, I'd like to just talk about regulation and about how we legislate. Sir, we have, throughout all these summits, have had two interesting side events. The first one is the legislators meet, and it is in every place, in every city where we hold this, the speaker of that particular state is requested to chair the session. And we've seen that the participation of our legislators, MPs, MLAs, ministers is actually growing by the day, by the year. And this year we will be having no less than 40 legislators and elected members who will be with us day after tomorrow morning for almost a 3-hour session. And in this we will be just delving very again deeply into the issues of climate change and some of the havoc that each and every one of them have experienced in their own constituencies. And they will speak about those problems that their constituents face. And they will also try and measure up in terms of how they will be able to resolve. First, to give the kind of support that they can get quickly. Second, to think about how perhaps we will be able to adapt, and especially our farmers need to adapt. People who are building their houses will need to adapt. We'll have to see how we can make better drainage systems and so on and so forth. Today it was interesting when I was speaking with the Honorable Speaker of the Mizoram State Legislative Assembly, Shri Honorable Hippai, when he said that in one of the meetings that he's attended in Imphal, I think it was a Commonwealth Parliamentary Association meeting, when he mentioned that we have, for floods, we have flood relief, but what about landslides? There's no such thing as a kind of a scheme for landslide relief or landslide damage. And so this is the kind of conversation that we should have in every forum that we are. And as far as the legislators' meet is concerned, we will be doing just that to see whether it will require new forms of legislation or we'll have to look at other public policies to take care of the problems in our constituencies. And the second interesting is the side event is the policy dialogue. And this year, policy dialogue is nothing but diving deep again into the issue of the policies related to the mountains. It is a Himalayan-based policy. What kind of a policy would do the best for the people of the Himalayas? And this is the first time such a policy is emanating out of the Ministry of Environment and Forest. So, and in that there will be all the bureaucrats from various states will be gathering and they will be discussing a draft policy which is already in place. So, in short, I think we are all here. There is a lot of work to do. There is a lot of investments in terms of time to be made. And we do hope that each one of you will go back with a sense of feeling that, yes, I did contribute, I did learn, I was able to put my views across, and I was listened to, and at the same time, I listened. With these words, ladies and gentlemen, let me again thank the Mizoram government for whatever they are, the support that they have given to us, and other state governments, the state governments of Uttarakhand, the state government of Sikkim, the state government of Nagaland, and state government of Arunachal, who are contributing annually to this process of the SMDS. With these words, thank you very much for giving me a patient hearing.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your vision with us. We do hope that this summit will take us one step closer to attaining the vision that you have for all of us. May I now invite our chief guest, Pulal Thanhola, the Honorable Chief Minister of Mizoram, to address and inaugurate SMDS 6.
Honorable Member of Parliament, Mr. P.D. Rai, Mr. M.C. Jamil, who has been my long-term friend, Mr. Ramesh Negi, Dr. Lumbalbir Moyente, other distinguished participants and delegates from other parts of the country. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, thank you very much for inviting me to this important summit, the 6th edition of an ongoing Sustainable Mountain Development Program. It is an important forum for sharing and exchange ideas on how best we can carry forward the sustainable development process, which is so crucial for those of us who are still developing. We know development is a must, but at what cost? As we go about the development process, we need to always factor in the safeguards that come with it, and we cannot compromise. We now live in a world of constant change and instant communication. Things have changed so fast. During the last few years, it is almost impossible for many of us to catch up with the times. However, in all this, one thing is clear, that is, the importance of sustainable development. Most of the resources that we use today are finite and has to be rationalized. Wood, for example, is a finite resource. Our natural forests have been supplying wood to the people since time immemorial. Today, owing to increasing demand, most of the forests have become depleted. Even a once forest-rich Mizoram has less than 1% of dense forest now. The rest are all medium to open forests. This is indeed a cause for concern. In fact, as a result of this, the government of Mizoram, some 20 years ago, has evolved a new land use program. You might be knowing that the Mizos have been practicing Stasan Banjum cycle since ages, which is very destructive for to the forest and environment. Therefore, to arrest this, a new formula for the working class and for the farmers, and a new formula program has been evolved by the state government that is known as popularly known as New Land Use Policy, by which we offer the farmers substantial financial assistance and also with technical know-how, and ask them to choose the avocation that they prefer, like cattle rearing, poultry farming, orchard, horticulture, and land services, so that this depletion of forest, wanton destruction of forest can be arrested. I must say that with this program going on for the last 10 years or so, we have achieved great success in this. And this new land use program is all embracing, because today the global problem of global warming, deterioration in environment, as a result of which our source of waters are receding, and such other various problems. We hope to address this with this land use program. The 17 Sustainable Development Goals with 169 targets adopted by the 193 member states of the History UN General Assembly, 17 September 2015, are a broad universal agreement to end poverty in all its dimensions and bring out an equal, just and secure world for the people, the planet, and prosperity by 2030. Together we can do it. Goals are achievable. The mountain states have a very good opportunity to be one of the contributors. Look at our biodiversity. Northeast India in particular is a biological diversity hotspot. There was time in the government of India when Northeast India was considered important only from the strategic angle. Today, the whole world knows that Northeast India represents the transitional zone between Indo-Malayan and Indo-Chinese geographic regions, and is the geographical gateway for much of India's flora and fauna. As a consequence, the area is one of the richest in biological values, high in endemism, and holds a large number of rare species that are now under serious threat. We must leave no stone unturned to see that our rich heritage, biological and cultural, are sustained for the present and future. Another challenge is rapid urbanization, which has led to a considerable stress on the environment, and Mizoram especially is always no exception to that. Lack of judicious planning has given rise to a number of problems, and their ill effects are being experienced today. Geotechnical investigation and clearance should precede construction of roads and undertaking of other developmental initiatives in hilly regions, All vulnerable areas need to be mapped and landslide hazard zonation undertaken in all habited areas. We also need to evolve a debris disposal policy in addition to solid and e-waste. Open blasting must be controlled, and as far as possible, silent explosives should be preferred. We need to create awareness and garner support garner support of everyone: the public, government, private agencies, corporate bodies, NGOs, and civil society. As we know, this year we have been facing unprecedented rainwater, and since March 1st this year, we have been experiencing rain almost every day till today, which is very unusual in Mizoram. In our approach to sustainable development, which is defined as the wise use of resource for meeting the needs of the present generation without compromising on the needs of future generation, we need to have a holistic approach. Department and governments cannot work in isolation. The 17 sustainable goals with 169 targets adopted by the 192 member states in the Holistic UN General Assembly Summit in September 2015 are a bold universal agreement to end poverty in all its dimensions and bring out equal, just and secure world for the people, the planet and the prosperity, as I said, by 2030. Together we can do it. The goals are achievable. The mountain states have a very good opportunity to be one of the contributors. Look at our biodiversity. As I said, Northeast India is a biological diversity hotspot, and so because of this, it is more important for all of us to be aware of the necessity to protect them. And with climate change and global warming staring us in the face, we are all in this together, and as stakeholders, let us do it for ourselves and the future generation, the future we want. I wish the summit every success and that we come out with a declaration that is not only a wish list, but doable goals to be pursued by all stakeholders. With these few words, I once again thank the organizers of this summit, and it is my honor and pleasure to inaugurate Sustainable Mountain Summit 6th in Aizawl. I wish that the summit and this deliberation will be success, and I thank the organizers for having given the Mizoram section this opportunity of hosting this meeting. I wish each and every one of you, particularly coming from outside the state, a very pleasant stay in the fight of the shortcomings. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sri Rathanhola, Honorable Chief Minister of Mizoram, for your inaugural address. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now near the conclusion of this inaugural session. Before I call upon Dr. John Zothan Zama to propose the vote of thanks, let me very briefly request the dignitaries on the stage to remain after the vote of thanks for a very brief photo session along with the IMI and MSDF leaders. This will subsequently be followed by the inauguration of the photography exhibition downstairs by the Honorable Chief Minister of Mizoram, Sri Rathanhola, after which we will all depart for the multipurpose hall, Mizoram University, for dinner and entertainment. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to call upon Dr. John Zothan Zama, the organizing secretary of this summit, to give the vote of thanks.
Honorable Chief Minister Rathanhola, all our dignitaries who are seated on the stage here, our invited speakers and our resource persons, for the summit, all delegates of this mountain summit, all invited persons who are presented here this evening, and also I must also mention the delegates of the Youth Summit. It is my privilege to be standing here before this August gathering and on such an important and auspicious day in the history of the IMI and also the Indian mountain states. First of all, I give thanks to our chief guest, the Honorable Chief Minister Pulal Thanhola, for sparing his valuable time. Sir, we deeply appreciate what you have done for the summit as well. I would like to mention that the financial support that the government of Mizoram has extended to us has really given us the much required support towards hosting of this summit. We thank you indeed, sir. We also thank the Vice Chancellor of Mizoram University, Professor Lianjela, for his permission and consent to host the summit at this campus. The Vice Chancellor and the Registrar have given us the much needed support towards the preparation of this summit. And as hosts, we are indeed so much thankful for the various minutest of details in the logistic that they have given to us. So we really, really appreciate what they have extended, the help that they have extended to us, sir. And sir, we also really much appreciate the highlights of Mizoram University that you have given in your speech. We really are much, I think, the delegates and the members who are gathered here today, I think we have really appreciated the work of Mizoram University, I think, and the achievements at such a young age of its existence. Thank you, sir. We also thank Dr. Lalbia Moyente, the President of Mizoram Sustainable Development Foundation, and sir, we thank you for giving us the welcome speech and the brief summit outline and the program that lies ahead in the days to come. We also thank Sri Alemtamsi Jamir, President IMI, for his opening remarks and explaining about the working of IMI in a short gist. We also thank our speaker, Mr. Ramesh Negi, IS, retired former Chief Secretary of Arunachal and Councillor. Sir, we are very much thankful for sharing all the important points towards achieving of sustainable development in the mountain region of these Himalayas. We also thank our Councillor, Mr. P.D. Rai, a Member of Parliament of Sikkim. And sir, we thank you for the explanation, for the very much clear explanation about the IMI and its importance, its existence, its role. And then I think you have also made more or less MZU part of the fraternity of the IMI with your speech, sir. We thank you indeed. I think Mizoram University can really play some important role from Mizoram. And we also thank the various chapters of the IMI for giving us support, to, especially financially. So we have financial support from the state chapters, and this has really helped us towards hosting of this summit. And then the role played by the Lead India. For those who may not know about LEAD means the Leadership for Environment and Development. They're based in Delhi. They work for the environment. Lead India has helped towards the Youth Summit. The whole program of the Youth Summit was more or less made possible, finish off with the logistic as well as trainers, resource persons from the Lead India. And I think we have members from the Youth Summit. Can you please raise your hand just for the members to know that, yeah, these are the youth participants of the Youth Summit. Thank you for making your presence here. I think they have also come up with some declaration from their deliberations during their summit. So we thank you. We thank Lead also for the success of the Youth Summit. We must also not forget to mention the various people whose names I think are not enough here to be, I think, mentioned here, but we thank them indeed for making this, for having reached this day. Okay, so it is because of their meticulous work and labor that we have reached to this day. So we thank all of those people whose names we may not mention. And we must also not forget our funding organizations, well, the various agencies. I think it may be too long to name each and every one of them. You may see them over here, I think, put up in the banners here. So the various donor agencies are, I think you can identify them yourself. So we thank all of these donors, funding agencies, for the success of this summit. So to end it, I would like to thank each and every one, all invited guests here, all people who are involved towards the success of this inaugural program. So with this, I give thanks to every one of you, and I thank you indeed. Kalome.
Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the conclusion of this part of the inaugural session. Thank you so much for your attention and your patience. We have one more item to perform, which is the inauguration of the photography exhibition by the chief guest downstairs, which would be followed by proceeding to the multipurpose hall. Once again, as stated, I would like to request the dignitaries, the invitees, to kindly remain on stage for a very brief photo session. The leaders that are supposed to be in the photograph, I think you know who you are. Please do join our guests here for a brief photo session, and then we shall all proceed downstairs for the inauguration of the photography exhibition. Thank you.
Mizoram University, and I will be your co-host for the evening. And my name is Esther, and I'm from the Department of Biotechnology.
Able to host this summit at this time. We're hoping that you've been having a good time so far. I don't know how tired you are from the more formal aspects of the program, but our desire at this point is that you let loose and enjoy yourselves. Now, before we proceed, we don't have a lot of items in the program. Dinner will be served approximately half an hour from now, and we have two solo artists performing. So do I have your attention? Ladies and gentlemen, can you please introduce yourselves or say hi to the people sitting next to you?
One Mizo word, all right? But in Mizo, we don't have C. We have CH, which is, so, but for you guys to remember,
on the outside as well as on the inside, and her voice was also so beautiful. Next up, we have an equally beautiful singer named Melody, from her name itself, Melody. She is going to have a beautiful voice, I know. She is one of the very few singers who sings in Hindi, and how am I going to put this? I don't know how to put it in words, so